Coaching Soccer Weekly, episode 353, Horizontal Lines. Entertaining, educational, and inspiring soccer content to help make you a more effective coach, player, or soccer parent. Hello, and welcome back to Coaching Soccer Weekly, presented by World Class Coaching. My name is Sega Rabinovich, and this is the podcast devoted to bringing you cutting-edge methods, techniques, and tactics for coaching soccer. It doesn't matter if you're an experienced coach who has been training teams for many years, or if you're new to coaching and working with a team for the very first time. There's something we can all do to take our coaching to the next level. Welcome back to the show. It's a beautiful Tuesday afternoon here in freezing Toronto, Aurora, which is where I am, Ontario, Canada. And the snow's here. The snow came on which day? A game day, of course it did. During the weekend, it snowed a lot. It was a Sunday, I think, that it snowed. So that was fun, driving in the snow, which I haven't done for a while. But welcome back to the show. It's going to be a good episode today. Let's start talking about the weekend. We'll get through the weekend. We'll talk about horizontal lines, which I'm super excited about. Kind of what I've been up to from a academy owner point of view, if you want to call it that. And yeah, let's get into it. Saturday was interesting. We had two games, and what was interesting was the gap in between them. So our first game, 12 o'clock, second game, 6 p.m., so a 6-hour gap. What was interesting about that is that I live very far away, so luckily my parents lived pretty close, so I ended up going to the first game, and then in between the first and second game, went to my parents' house, watched the beautiful World Cup with my parents and the other coach who was with me, and then went back for the second game. This weekend was, if I could sum up the weekend, it was, I would say coaching fury, I think is an interesting way to sum that up. And I'll tell you about what happened. So first of all, our 2013-2012 team played this weekend. And the 2012s, some of them played because they didn't have a game on Sunday. And technically, it's a 2012-2013 league. The 2013s just play mostly by themselves because the 2012s also are part of the 2012-2011 league. So they usually play up, but they didn't have a game this weekend. Hopefully you followed that. I think that was a little confusing. So they ended up playing with the 2013s in that under in the 2012-2013 league. And we played really well. I watched the game back, and the first half, which is all we really watched in the Zoom meeting through VO, we played really well. I thought we started to do some really good things, moving the ball really well, taking on 1v1. But what I was most impressed by was what we've been working on with the 4v4, which I talked about, was when the winger has the ball on the strong side, then the weak side winger goes far post, the forward goes in support, the midfielder shifts and is there to help out the winger with the ball on the strong side for a give and go. And that ball from the weak side cross on the ground really got us a lot of goals and also just a lot of really good opportunities. The fact that we had a lot more players in the box and that the winger knew that there were players running in the far post, in the far post, then it just worked really well. And the players that were able to go 1v1 down the line, look up, cross, that really gave us a lot of chances. And that was kind of the theme of the games for the 2013s and the 2014 games that happened. Not so much a 2010 game, but yeah. So it was a really good first half. And then within the last, I would say, 20 seconds of the first half, the other team got a free kick, and I just kind of wanted to get into halftime. We were up, I think it was like 2-1, so I just wanted to come in, sit the players down, give them a little bit of rest, reset to get back in. So we took it slow to give them the ball, make sure it kind of took time, and then buzzer sounds, end of half. And for indoor, that's it. As soon as the buzzer sounds, there's no extra anything like that. So the other coach started absolutely yelling at the ref. He came out and just let him have it. Like, just let him have it. And what was interesting was that ref, his mom was on the other side and heard the commotion, came in and really gave it right back to the coach. And for about 2-3 minutes, and you'll be able to see this on the YouTube, I'm going to upload the game for the 2013 games. Like, it was just yelling and arguing and screaming. And I kept our players there on the side. I tried to kind of come in and, do my thing. And he told me to go away, the other coach, which I don't take very well. Which brings me to a really important point and something that I've learned over the years of coaching, and something that happened in the next game as well. The overall goal here, and the most important thing that you have to think about, I think, as a coach, is that the players are safe and that the parents know and can really trust that you are always going to be on their kids' side, that you are always going to protect their kids. So for me, I don't back down. And this is the only environment in life where I don't back down. And I really want to stress that. If I'm out at a bar and there's a potential for a fight, I'll walk away. I have no issues with that. But when you're now in charge of your players, it's up to you to make sure that they understand that you have control over the situation. And that's really what happened, and how when someone tells me go away when I'm trying to, de-escalate the situation, I'm not going to go away. I'm going to make sure that they understand and everyone else around understands that I'm handling the situation. And that's really what I tried to do to the best of my ability. The other coach was just yelling, screaming, and all that, and really scared the kids and the parents, if I'm being honest. And then things just took a turn for, the worse in the second half. The kids were intimidated. It wasn't the same. We just didn't play the same way. So we ended up, I think, tying that game, but I was really proud of their first half performance. Now, here's what happened. At the end of the game, the coach goes up to the ref to try and apologize, and I'm there taking down the VO, and he tries to shake my hand. And at that point, the answer is no. It's not, people can say, oh, forgive. No, that's not how that works. It's an under 9, under 10 game. There is no situation where you should be screaming, yelling, and for a call like that, there's just no way. And then to come at me and kind of tell me, go away. This isn't, that's not okay with me, right? So I didn't take his hand, and I said, no, this is not okay what you did. You should not be reacting like this at a youth game. And I will not accept your apology. It doesn't work like that. You can't just do whatever you want during the game and then apologize for it after, and then everything goes back to normal. Not the way he was acting. So that was one of the games. And I think if I look back at a lot of my games, this is a trend, right, that is happening a lot. I won't back down. I will not back down. And I need you to understand that it comes from that point of the parents need to know that I control the situation. I have control over the game, and I have control over their child's safety. And if I see that there's a situation that they're not safe, I'm going to step up. And that's just what you have to do, I think, as a coach, especially as an owner of the academy. And that's exactly what happened in the next game as well. The next game, which was our 2010 game, we didn't really play that well. There was an injury on the field for the other team, so I very politely got up off my seat and stopped the time, because, we have an hour to play, and that's what I wanted, which resulted in the assistant coach of the other team absolutely freaking out, at me for stopping the time. And then he said some things, and again, from that point of view of this, I need to have control over the situation, which is how I approach all these situations, I wanted him out. So he kind of kept talking to me about, oh, I don't know the rules and all that. And what I did was I went over, looked at the game sheet, saw that he was the only that there was only one coach on the game sheet, went to the ref, showed it to the ref, and he was out. If you're ever experiencing something like that, that's the first thing that I usually do. I always make sure that the coach is actually allowed to be there and supposed to be there. And in my opinion, that de-escalates the situation very quickly, because you can go to the ref, be like, here, is this the guy? If this is not the guy, and he's got to have his card with him as well, these are just the rules of the game. If that is not the guy, he's out. He can't be on the field, he can't be with the players, and he's completely away from the situation. And that's what I did, and think about it what you will. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that don't agree with the way that I approach things, but in my opinion, my players and the parents understanding that I have control over the situation, that I will always stand up for the players and I won't back down and let anyone walk over me. That's very important to me. So Sunday came around. Sunday, our 2014s played, and our 2014s, again, we have already played one of the teams that we destroyed. So going in, knowing that we really focused, at least we tried to focus on the same thing with our 2013s, that kind of cross ball for players to come in. But inevitably, because our players at that age are so strong in the 1v1s, we ended up doing a lot less passing, a lot less understanding of our formations. And we moved the ball here and there, switched sides a couple of times. But overall, if you can take on the whole team consistently, and you know you can, and players are diving in at you from the other team, and it's very easy for you to do a move, get around them, or even not even have to do a move, just dribble around them. That's what these players for the past 2-3 years have known. So it makes sense for them to continue this 1v1 all the way down. And we had players beat 3, 4, 5 players before scoring on the net. So I'm really excited to get this team to Division 2, which will be in February. That's when our, I think, first game in Division 2. And then I think it's going to hit them that it's not just them, that they need to really use their teammates. And I don't mean use their teammates in a way that takes away from their 1v1 ability. It's more use their teammates to get the ball back in situations, right? Give the ball so that you can receive it in open space and get into that open space. And I think that's really important, and something that they'll start to understand once we start playing better teams and the games are not 9-2. They're really, maybe we start to lose games, which is kind of what I want. I really want them to start really struggling. And I know that I'm probably saying that now, but I'll look back and really regret saying that. But this team hasn't gone through anything yet. They've just destroyed teams. And you need adversity, I think, to create a good team culture. And these guys are all very 1v1 oriented players, and selfish in a really good way. But we really have to get that team type of atmosphere where they're encouraging each other and moving as a team. And that's also what we're going to talk about today with the horizontal lines. I do want to say thank you to our sponsor, Vio. I love Vio. They're amazing. And they're constantly working on new amazing things. They're getting feedback from coaches and stuff like that. But if you're looking for a way to have your players watch, parents watch, or yourself watch games back with them, or just kind of analyze things yourself, Vio's are the best tool, I think, to do that. You can get $200 off using our code, which is in the show notes. So before we get into the main topic of today, which is the horizontal lines, which I'm really excited to talk about, there was something that I wanted to talk about before, and this is just, again, the fact that I'm the owner of the academy. It's different kind of view of what's going on. So what I've noticed the trend over not just this winter, but winters in general, is that we're losing players, right? Either to the holidays, hockey, basketball, all these other sports. And then once summer comes, then we get this big surge of players. So I've really started to actually work on marketing. That's how I've been spending my mornings, updating our website using SEO, keywords, stuff like that. And it's been really, really interesting, that part of the business, which I haven't really paid that much attention to. And if that's something that you're looking for, let me get it up here. One second. Okay. So what's really cool is that Google actually allows you to take free courses online. And this is where I'm doing this whole SEO stuff. So it's called Google Digital Garage. You can Google it and then check it out, because I think that's really important. It doesn't matter what you do in life. I think marketing always helps. It's just, especially with, I think, the way new trends are going and all that, you need to be able to understand at least the marketing stuff, and it's free and it's from Google, so why not do it? So that's what I've been doing, and just really updating my website and keywords, stuff like that, which I think is, again, really interesting, finding trends, all that stuff. If you want to check out what I did, you can simply go to gladiatorsocceracademy.com, and or you can Google Gladiator Soccer Academy and it'll come up. And you can see, the way that I wrote stuff and all that. No stealing paragraphs, but, you can kind of see how we changed it. Before, the way that I had my website, it was fine. It was good. It was getting us players, but I think the way that I restructured everything after kind of going through, and I'm still doing the course, so it's not something that I'm finishing, in a day or two. I'm doing a little bit of the course. As soon as they kind of give me something, a new idea, I go and I work on it. Then I go back to the course, something new, work on it, and so on and so forth. So it's really been great to work, learn, reflect, work, that kind of stuff, which I really love. So it doesn't matter, again, what industry you're in. I think this would be helpful for you. It's not advertised. They don't pay me. I don't get anything for that. But, as I do here, I don't make money off the show. I'll be completely honest. The advertisers, we have VO, so we get to use VO, but we don't make any money off VO. So it's literally just to help you. And VO is the only advertised that I've had. I've also had, who else have I had on the show? Techni, right? But again, we don't make money off these people. These are just things in the soccer industry that I think will help you. So if that's something you're looking for, if you're a young student and just want marketing, do you even like marketing? Do you want to go into SEO and stuff like that? So Google, free course for you. End of story. That's it. Let's move on. I wanted to talk about something that I noticed watching the Saturday game, and it was really evident because it was France against England. France against England was probably the game of the tournament, at least for me. That's how I felt. And it was really interesting because England was very slow. They would keep possession of the ball. They would go side to side and really kind of do what Manchester City does, take their time. There was no rush. And then you had a complete contrast in the way France played. France received the ball, and the first thing they did was look up and attack. And it wasn't really about possession first. It was about attack first. And I know I'm going to get a lot of slack for this, but saying what I did about Manchester City. But even with Manchester City now, they're kind of, and this is what I love about Manchester City, they're bridging both the way England played and the way France played. There are moments in the game where they take their time and they're not looking forward simply to attract the defense. And there are moments where they're looking to attack on the counter. As soon as they win it, they go forward. They look forward first and then they attack. So it was really interesting to see that. And for me, watching the wingers receive the ball, players like Mbappe, receive the ball and just look to attack 1v1 on the wing. And what that does is that just draws all the players towards him. And then you have that runner on the far post. That's what we saw. And that's what we're starting to do with our 4v4 and really working that far post run, supportive run. And I think that's ultimately why they won the game, right? We talk about the way that England played as, yeah, they got penalties, and that's really that was the only way that they were scoring that game, right? The second one that Harry Kane missed, but the first one he scored. So if they were really going to score, it was going to be that, right? Whereas France, every single time they got the ball, they won the ball back, they were just dangerous and dangerous and dangerous in attack and attack. And it was this relentless attack of just, possession combination with 1v1, but just trying to force England back, 1v1, attack and score. So that was something that I noticed, and that's really, I think, the way that we're going to try and play moving forward. I love possession soccer, but to just keep possession for the sake of keeping possession is really not what possession soccer is about. It's really about drawing the team into a specific space and then quickly changing where that ball was, to change the space of where the ball is to now, after drawing it, you've opened up a space, and that's where you want to attack from. The way I think it might have even been Tom that said this, was that it's kind of like a small blanket, right? And the blanket can only cover a certain part of the field. So you're trying to move that blanket towards you so you can open up part of that blanket, and that's where you want to get that ball, where there is no blanket, right? So hopefully that made sense too. But so really enjoyed that. It's 1:36 in about 25 minutes. There's going to be the Tuesday game, which I think today is Argentina and Croatia, which is a really good game as well. So super excited for that. And yeah, let's get on to today's topic. So far on the show, I've really talked about the vertical lines, the wide space, half space, center space. And we did a deep dive into that within the academy, the players, all the players know the spaces. And that's been really great and has really helped me. But now I think it's time to kind of take that holistic approach and go not only into the vertical lines, but the horizontal lines as well. Now, I want to say that the way that I'm approaching it is different from anything else. So usually, the most basic horizontal lines that we're used to is dividing the field into thirds, right? That would be a very basic, first third, second third, and the final third of the way the teams play. And if you want to go even more basic than that, you can just talk about halves, our half, their half, right? So you kind of have those two basic levels. And then you've got the more advanced level, like at the highest possible level, which honestly, I haven't done any research into, so I don't really know. But there's an insane amount of zones, right? If you even look up Manchester City, I would say zones, like field zones, then you would probably get, I think it's like 24 zones or like 30. It's like some ridiculous amount that doesn't really make sense to me. And, not to say that it doesn't make sense and not to say that it doesn't work, but it's just not, it's too much, I think. So we're going to just look at horizontal lines, and we're going to build something that you can use, right? Not something overcomplicated that will take years and, age 16, 17, 18-year-olds to understand. We want something that our 5-year-olds, our 6-year-olds, and our 7-year-olds can understand. And we want to build it in a way that makes sense to you so that you can kind of approach this from your team in a way that helps you, right? Because that's what this show is. So I'm going to approach this in a really different way, I think, but hopefully it'll help you. So here's the way that I'm approaching it. I'm going to make a line in our half for each of our lines. So we have a defensive line, a midfield line, and a forward line. So I'm going to divide our half into 3 horizontal zones. The first zone, the second zone, and the third zone. The first zone is meant for our defenders. Our second zone is meant for our midfielders. And our third zone is meant for our forwards. And I'm going to do the exact same thing with the other team's half, right? So we have, in the other team, we have from the half, we have zone 3. From the next zone over would be zone 2. And then zone 1 would be, just like in our half, would be the one furthest away. You can also say, you can always count it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? So we can even do that to make it easier. That's not how I did it with our players this week, but let's do it that way. I think that makes the most sense. So we'll just go zone 1 is the closest one to our goalkeeper. Then zone 2 is when you divide your half into 3 equal parts. That's zone 2. Then zone 3 is the closest one to half. Then zone 4 is from half to it's the first third of the second half. Then zone 5, and then zone 6 will be the closest one to their half. To their goal, right? And if you want to get a clearer picture of this, I'm going to put it up on the Facebook, which I did for last week as well. I'll put up the image. So it's Coaching Soccer Weekly. You literally just have to put it into Facebook search. It'll come up and it'll let you in. That's it. Super simple. It's all free. Okay. All that again. So that's it. Now, what I really love about these horizontal lines is the ability for my players to understand how far they have to be from the next line up. So what I found, especially with our 2014s, because they're young and they're just starting to get it, and even I would say our 2013s, all the way up to our 2011s, is there are moments in the game where there's just too much of a gap either between the forwards and the midfielders or between the midfielders and the defenders. And I wanted to eliminate that. I wanted the players to understand, okay, how far should I be from the next line up, or from the midfielder's point of view, from both lines, from the defensive line and the forward line. So the simple idea is this. Whenever the players move up a line, so let's take a formation, for example, that let's do a basic formation in a 9v9, which is what we're using now, that 3-2-2-1, right? So we have 3 defenders. We have 2 center midfielders and 2 wingers. So that's the 2 and 2, and then 1 forward. So the midfielders are in zone 2, the defenders are in zone 1, and then the forward is in zone 3. The ball starts with the goalkeeper. The goalkeeper passes to the defender on the left side, which is now going to be our strong side. The left side defender maybe passes the ball to the center midfield in zone 2. And then that player makes a pass into zone 3 on the wide space because we attack through the wide space. So now what it looks like is we have 1 winger in the wide space, 1 forward in the wide space, and my instruction to all of my wingers are in line with the ball always. So that opposite side, which is the weak side, winger goes into zone 3. Okay? So essentially what we've got now is a formation. It's a 3-2-3. 3 defenders, 2 center mids, 2 wingers in zone 3, and 1 center forward. As the winger who is in zone 3 dribbles with their 1v1, because that's what we're asking our players to do, attack in the wide space, into zone 4, we can now talk to our players about where they should be. So our weak side player is always going to be in line with the ball, and so is our forward. So both of them are now going to move into zone 4. Our midfielders, since the first line has now moved 1 up, our midfielders are going to move up. and so our defenders are going to move up one line. So essentially the idea is that every time the line with the ball moves up into the next zone, the line behind them moves up as well. And in my opinion, that's what's going to keep our team spaced out exactly where they should be, right? Now, you can change the number of horizontal lines based on the number of lines you have. So if you play 11v11 and you play a 4-2-3-1, instead of having 3 zones, you can have 4 zones, right? And it could be very adaptive to the amount of lines that you have. And then as soon as you lose the ball, you can give those instructions again. So for example, let's say we get to their final third. Our forward stays in zone 5. Our winger goes into zone 6 with the opposite side winger making that far post run. Our 2 center midfielders are also in zone 5. And these are instructions that you give your players. And then our defenders are in zone 4. Okay, so 4, 5, and 6 are the 3 zones there. Our goalkeeper, we can give them instructions of you can go as far as zone 2, right? Or the beginning of zone 3, depending on my goalkeeper and how comfortable they are with their feet. And let's say we lose the ball, okay, in zone 6. At that point, we can talk about weak side defender now has to get in line with the midfielders in zone 5. We can talk about the closest winger pressing into the zone with the ball and the forward also pressing into that zone with the ball. And then on top of this, we can also talk about the half spaces, right? That we want all of our players from one half space to the other and no player in the wide space at this point. So there's all these different things that you can do with it to make sure that your players are really staying in the right amount of space between them and the player in front or the player behind them. Let's take a more simple formation to hopefully make the understanding of what we're doing even more clear. We're playing a 2-3-1, 7v7, and we have 3 players in zone 1. That's the goalkeeper, 2 defenders. We have 3 players in zone 2, our 2 wingers and our midfielder, and then we have 1 player in zone 3. The goalkeeper passes the ball to our center midfield, who, of course, passes the ball to our defender in zone 1, and that defender passes the ball to our winger, who is in zone 2. Our winger then passes the ball to our forward, and the forward does a give and go with the winger to get them into zone 3. At this point, we now have 3 players in zone 3. The wingers in line with the ball, so we have 3 players in zone 3. We have 1 player in zone 2, that's our midfielder, and we have our 2 defenders in zone 1 with our goalkeeper also in zone 1. We can give instructions now to our midfielder, and that would be to shift to the strong side in the half space, but always stay 1 zone behind the wingers for support. We can also give that a different instruction to the forward, and that instruction would be now the forward's job is to be available for the winger for a give and go, right? So if the winger needs help and doesn't want to go 1v1, then they should be able to go and get a give and go, and that gets us into zone 4 with that player. And now everyone pushes up 1 zone. So now it's, again, 3 players in zone 4, 1 player in zone 3, and 2 players in zone 2. And then you can talk about the goalkeeper as well being in zone 1. So it's a 2-1-3. And it's the same instruction, right? Which player can we attack forward into zone 5? If we can't attack forward into zone 5, let's get it back to the midfielder, back to the defender, but stay in our zones, right? Find a way to switch it over to the other side. It could be through any one of these players, right? Any one of the players, either the defenders, the midfielder, or the forward. Okay, so let's say we get that ball now into the other side in zone 4, and then we dribble again. Once we get into zone 5, then we can start to talk about the different instructions, right? We can talk about what is the wide space, what does the winger on the opposite side do? They can start their run to the far post. They can, and then the forward can also do the same thing. For me, I would start that run in zone 6, and I would say once the player reaches zone 6, which is the final, it's more than the final third at this point, then now the weak side player can make a run, and our forward can also make a run to support. Now, what's really important, and we noticed during the game, is that the players who are making runs into the box, they have to be behind the ball so they can run into it. What happened a couple of times to our players was they were in line with the ball, and the pass was actually played behind them. So we want them to run onto it. So as the winger makes the pass, you're running onto that ball. So actually the winger and the forward are both behind the ball, and I would say maybe holding line 6. And yeah, that to me, I think is a really powerful tool. And again, you can use this based on your formation. If you're playing 11v11, right, you can think about, okay, I want to play with my 2 defenders as kind of the quarterbacks, right? I want my fullbacks to kind of go inverted, right? And my center defensive mid to stay back. And this is a 4-3-3. My 2 attacking mids to go here. And then you can actually give them zones based on who has the ball at certain points, right? So what do we do when we have the bone in zone 6? What do we do in zone 4, zone 5, and all these different things? So I think it makes things a lot more flexible. Thanks for listening to another episode of Coaching Soccer Weekly. It's a really big weekend here for the world of soccer. It is the World Cup finals. We were supposed to have 2 games on Sundays, but I canceled those, obviously. I don't know why the league scheduled them on that day. But yeah, I really hope you take some time, family, friends, watch the game, enjoy it. My money is on France, although I never bet money on games, but I really like the way they're playing. So I think that, you know, they have a really good attack, and I like their just relentless 1v1s and just I'm impressed by the way they play. So hopefully you enjoy that, and I will see you next week. So until then, enjoy the journey, enjoy the moments, but most importantly, enjoy the World Cup final. Coaching Soccer Weekly is a production of World Class Coaching. All rights reserved.
Hey, thanks for watching all the way to the end, and you can check out more of our videos right here. And if you haven't done so already, I would really appreciate it if you'd hit the like button and the subscribe button.